DC Vigilante here. You ever get a feeling that the movie industry, I made videos about this before, how Disney's really buying up the land, and what I mean by saying land is they're buying up everything from companies to land to websites to critics to just about everything. They're having the monopoly, which is a bad thing. And I've seen some people state similar things before and on Facebook and whatnot. And I think there's a lot of people just swept up and believing the hype and believing that these films are good, because the mass people are doing it. That means if the mass people are doing it, then it must be right and you are wrong, So, and I've always been a loner. I've never been a lemming to follow each other's off the cliffs. I've always had my own mind, and I know a lot of you will think the same, but I it really, and I'm not saying that I won't believe you unless you're a DC fan. It's just when you start looking at things and investigating into things, you worry about the state of the world and the state of. There's some people that came out, actresses and stuff like that said that the superhero movies are destroying movie making, and stuff, and how it's just getting mass produced like McDonald's and KFC and stuff, and I totally get it. I do think it's right. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't want to wake up one day and they're not doing a superhero movie. Bad, but for me, it's the tone, it's the flavour that goes into making the movies. You look at stuff like BVS, Man of Steel, and compare that to the first couple of Marvel films in the franchise, and they're totally polar opposites. And then Warner Brothers, of course, changes their mind and tries to make it similar, because they make it similar to a Marvel movie, and then it's a success because they're a top brand. People, have been buying into this for a while, or it's like going to your KFC, or it's like buying your brand of tea bags or food products that you wouldn't want to go to a cheaper make or anything like that, even though the cheaper make could be much better and more financially rewarding. You don't want to do it because you've been hypnotized into this brand. And so I've been hearing, now as you know, I was a Spider-Man fan. I collected thousands of comics, and Tobey Maguire ones were okay. I did like the Amazing Spider-Man that Sony did with Garfield, but then they spoiled it again because of trying to push so much into it. But now, and I hated Homecoming. I just felt like Marvel destroyed whatever chances Spider-Man had with Sony and with future filmmaking, and I just didn't feel like that was the Spider-Man I grew up reading or watching his cartoons. I just felt like it was another, he owed a lot to Iron Man, which shouldn't be. I know he was only introduced to, but they had changed a lot of the characters in that story arc, and I just felt really that they cheesed it up. And now I'm hearing reports from critics who have had pictures taken with Kevin Feige, pictures taken with some of the Marvel casts, and all of these critics have been falling out to these destinations to see the premiere, so of course they're not going to say anything bad because they like to be in the Disney box. And we look at that thing that happened in Collider. Now, if you're new to YouTube, or if this is on my Facebook page, if you're unsure what Collider is, it's another big YouTube channel, and on that channel there has a wee sub-program called the Jedi Council, and one of the hosts in it was basically, saying how much he was offended by Disney Star Wars by not being invited to this expo or whatever it is, and he made a song and dance about it. And after all the things we've done for it, and for me, it highlighted things that, maybe Disney does pay these web channels and these YouTubers money, and they fly them off to see these things and fly them off to these conventions, or have an inside seat of a trailer that has yet to be released, but because you're on Disney's list, then you get to do it, and that way you can just post all the good stuff. The only way you get that is by only posting good stuff about Disney. Warner Brothers at one point actually felt like they had to do the same, and they invited some of the haters of DC onto the set of Justice League, where Ben Affleck came over to them and explained to them, So I mean, I'm not saying that Warner Brothers is innocent. They've done the part, but because they're trying to convince you that things are on the up. But for me, the only way to convince me would be it's not to have these wee private meetings, but to have an executive or somebody in charge of Warner Brothers to come out and say what they're planning to do, and say no matter how good this film turns out, we're going to carry on. We're going to carry on with it. And they should have done that with BVS, because it still made money. They should have carried on with that one vision. But we are living in a society now that you are getting paid to like something. And as I was saying, going back to that Spider-Man story, these critics were getting flown to these places. These people were getting to meet the cast, or web page users are getting prizes or presents or whatnot from them, or maybe the YouTubers have got something to sell, so they give it to the YouTube channels in order to market it. And again, Kevin Feige's there, and people behind it, all these critics are all in the back pockets. And we're living in a world where now critics have been shamed. Rotten Tomatoes have been shamed by people working in Fandango that have connection to Disney. So you get to the point, what is the point for making these movies? It's all going to be saturated, it's all going to be manufactured by these people, and of course it's destroying the film industry in a way, because we're not getting these different flavours of movies. We just heard recently about Aquaman, and you could say it's because of state money, or you could say it's because of differences in the film set. Do they want it something like CW, or do they want it something that's unique? And for me, for a while, I thought DC was going in the unique realm with shows like DC Titans. God, Umbrella Academy is a unique approach as well, and that's what we need. We need different flavours. We don't want it to be flat, just like every other movie. And and I'm sitting and I listen to people, and they just talk about. There's a guy in my work who's a Marvel fan, and he's going to see it, and he knows I'm a DC fan. He's quite actually nervous coming to see me, but I've not mentioned it. He probably got it off all these other people in my work. I says, "Oh, don't go on, he's a DC fan." But I've never asked him, and did he like BVS, or did he do this, or what's the difference, between an Iron Man movie and a Thor movie, apart from the characters that are different? What's the theme? What's the pace? What's something new? So yeah, I mean, filmmaking is, and I don't want actresses to blame it on superheroes. I want these people to turn their attentions to the film companies who are inundating us with movies that are only passable. Saw a video one time. I saw a video just recently I posted on Facebook, and it was this guy, and he made this video about why Superman kills. Well, he should kill and stuff. But and he made a good argument, he made a good argument that the fact he had no choice and he was only one first day on the job and everything else, and that is a fresh perspective. People are still talking about Man of Steel. People are still talking about BVS. And whether it's just, and you can say, oh, that's because you still feel like they need to defend it. Well, that is one reason to look at it, but maybe we're talking about it is because we're still talking about it because we know we ain't getting anything like it again because of the saturated stuff. So, and that is why it was so unique experience that, and it's so saddened that we're not going to be given something like that again. And we just have to wait until, do we have to wait until the superhero genre dies out for this generation, and maybe wait another 100 odd years before the interest in superhero spikes a whole new interest, a whole new generation that can look at these films with fresh eyes rather than eyes that's just been a product of a McDonald's or a KFC, So yeah, I mean, Spider-Man, yeah, I like it because everybody else does. The next Avengers movie, it's excellent because everybody else is. And that, and we will grow tired. We will grow tired of superhero movies, and that is why we really need to stick to our guns, and either request the Snyder Cut for something different, because that is your two parallels. You have the Marvel type movie, which is the Justice League, and then you have the Zack Snyder version of it, and they're not the same. Somebody says, well, you're not going to feel the difference, or you're not, it might turn out more rubbish than the first one. No, it won't, because it has more in it, more fleshed out characters, and you're just saying that because, again, you became a product of Marvel movies that have brainwashed you into thinking that you're watching a good thing. It's like, and I've said it before, that John Carpenter's They Live, when you take off when you put on the sunglasses and you actually see the world for what it really is, and all those subliminal messages that you see in it. Maybe that's what's in Marvel movies, and maybe because my lazy eye, it's not caught me yet. Meanwhile, everybody else is sitting there watching, seeing subliminal messages saying, love Marvel. Anyway, that's my thought for today. Let us know what you think. DC Vigilante out.